bin ich auch ein Israelit, feiere ich doch den Bischof mit. That was the way they got along with each other.
How did you get how did you get to your grandmother's house?
There was a man with a horse and a little wagon, and we had to pay 10 pennies to get from the railroad station, which was right outside, to her house. And there's the horse, he was always standing there and expecting that he got a piece of sugar from my grandmother, and that's what he got when we got there.
Your grandmother died when you were
7 years old.
Do you remember any story about her when she died?
No.
When she?
Yes, they had a little dog, and the dog barked during the night, and my aunt, who lived with her mother, tried to make him quiet. But my grandmother said, "We let the dog. It does only what it has to do. When he barks, there's a reason." And that was the last what she said, because in the morning she was dead.
And when did she die, and what? When did she die?
What year?
What time of the year?
Oh, Tisha B'Av, yeah. She said she had a big, beautiful peach, which one of her daughters had brought to her, and she said, "No, that is for Mrs. Comforts. When the fast is over, tomorrow on Tisha B'Av, I bring it to her." And but she could not bring it to her anymore.
Your father did not come from the same town.
No, he came from, they called it Bergische, close to Elberfeld.
Navigus.
Navius, yes.
Yeah.
That was a small town. Was not a village. It was a nice town, and my uncle, my father's brother, had the biggest store there, Moses Meyer.
And can you tell a little bit about his family?
Yeah, his father died when my father was 2 years old, and my uncle, my father's brother, was 12 years old, and he went around to Bauern and tried...
Farmers.
Tried what?
Farmers.
To the farmers and bought young kids and sold the skin of the kids, and that's what his old mother and he got money enough so he could send my father to the gymnasium, to the high school.
So he bought young goats.
Little goats.
Yeah.
I said kids.
Yeah, a kid is a young goat as well. Okay. What are your earliest memories? The very earliest memories you have as a child?
About what? My parents had a store. We saw them only once a day at night. And no, I was brought up by a governess, my brother and I. That's all.
Can you describe your home, starting from the bottom, going up?
The home was so big. I started from the bottom going up. There were two staircases in the front of the house and the back of the house. And we were only allowed to use the back stairs because the front was for the business.
And what was in the bottom floor? In the basement?
In the basement was our kitchen later.
What was it like?
You, very nice, tired, but it has to be light on the whole day. We couldn't see anything.
And what was inside the kitchen? Just describe a little bit.
Ja, we were milking and flashing, shall I say that? For two big closets for milking and flashing, and even a stove. One was for gas, that was for milking, and then a real stove for coal, that was for flashing.
And was there a place to eat in the kitchen?
No, we didn't eat. We didn't. I think my mother didn't enter the kitchen any time of the day.
Who did the cooking?
Oh, we always had people, have to have maids for that.
And then you go up the staircase, and what was next?
Next was, then in the front was a store, and in the back was a small room where we ate, and so, and they could hear and see everything what was going on in
Was that your dining room when you had guests?
dining room. It's a big word for that little room. And it was, and the windows went out on a gasse.
In the alley.
Yes, kind of an alley, but it was much smaller than our alleys here.
And what was on the next floor?
And the next floor was the so-called good rooms. When visitors would come, but they never did, they didn't have time for that. And then the bedrooms all were on the third floor.
How many bedrooms were up there?
Oh, my parents' bedroom, and my bedroom, and a cousin of mine was brought up with me. She was in the Waisenhaus, Orphanasylum, and so when she was 14 years old, my mother took her in, and she was up with me, and we were glad, like two sisters, and we had a very big, beautiful bedroom, and a small room, so-called Spielzimmer, for us children, a room where we had our toys and everything.
How large was your bedroom?
Very big.
Bigger than this room?
Yes, much bigger. And two closets, and two beds, and a sofa, and a table. That was all in my bedroom.
And then your brother had his own room?
My brother was even one step higher.
1 story higher?
One story.
And where did the maids, the servants sleep?
They were in attics.
Above that?
Yes, it was 3 attics.
Okay, how can you describe your mother and your father?
They were, they got married pretty late, and they were more like grandparents to me, because when I compare it with how you brought up your children, my father never played with us, but there was nothing I couldn't ask him. Or my brother, who had even the Abitur in the school, but he could talk to his father about everything and ask him everything.
And your mother?
My mother was a very good businesswoman. And she owned a store when they got married. She had the store ready, and my father married in, as he called it.
Do you have any memories of any of your relatives, aunts and uncles, or your grandmother, anyone, just stories about any of them?
No stories, but we were very close. My mother was her sister, that was the name of the firm too, Eselfers and Company. And my mother's sister was a company, and they opened a second store in a town not too close to us, where there was a big Kruppwerke, and so they had this kind of customers.
And your Tante Johanna ran that store?
That was Tante Johanna.
She ran that store?
Yes, they moved even there. She got married pretty late too, to a man who was younger than she was, and they moved out there and had the store there.
And then your mother had two brothers? Your mother had two brothers?
Yes, two brothers.
Anything about them that was...
No, I was not too close to them. They were a little strange to me. They were very close with my mother, but I had a kind of, I was kind of shy with them. They were not very unclely, not like the uncles today are with our children.
Your Uncle Solomon
Uncle Solomon, Uncle Julius.
married a woman from Germany?
Uncle Solomon was married to an American woman, not very long, but they had 3 children, but then they separated. And my oldest aunt, my mother's oldest aunt, Tante Regine, was still, remember her very, very well. She was a wonderful woman and very educated, and I could talk to her, and she in Hebrew too. She could, I think she could read fluently Hebrew and explain to me what I know from her.
What was school like for you? Can you tell us a little bit about different parts of your education when you were little, when you were older?
When I was little, I went for 3 years into a Jewish school. And then I got to the high school. That's all. I stayed there for 9 years, almost.
Were you a good student?
Oh, I think the teachers were satisfied with that. Yes, I still have, I might still have some report cards which were very good.
What types of subjects did you study?
We?
What subjects did you study?
That was not in the school, the girls' school where I was, that we had certain subjects. We had to go through everything.
What types of things? Did you study languages?
Yes, French from the time I was 10 years old, and English 3 years later.
Latin?
No, not in my school. My brother had a lot of Latin, but I know, not in my school. It was hard enough for me.
Describe a classroom. What happened?
No, darling, these classrooms are so different from the classrooms with children too. Today, you cannot describe.
That's why we'd like you to describe it.
Yeah, but I can't.
When you walked into the classroom, you sat down right away?
On my years, I had always the same seat.
And was the teacher in the room?
No. He usually was. We had not as many teachers. They didn't come to each subject, of course.
And how did you speak to the teacher? How did the class begin?
How to begin? We had to sit like soldiers we had to sit and got up like a soldier and were not allowed to move. It was, but we learned a lot.
Could you talk out when you wanted something to say?
Oh no, we had to, shall I show you like this? That we have to do. And sitting like this, no comparison with the schools nowadays. But I think in Germany the schools are much more like the schools here too. I think they got a little bit modern too.
Can you describe Krefeld to us before World War I? What was the town of Krefeld like?
A so-called Großstadt, because they had more than 100,000 inhabitants. But I liked it.
Tell us about it. What was there?
Well, what was there?
Did you have a concert hall?
Oh yeah, we had a concert hall.
Did you have any parks that were nice?
And what?
Any parks? Gardens?
One, the so-called Stadtgarten, which I remember when I was a small child already. We were brought there every day.
And did you go by bus? Did you go by... How did you get around in the town?
There was, at that time, when I lived there, we had still streetcar, but we used it very little because we lived in the middle of the town and had to walk everywhere.
And did you ever go out of town to a countryside for visits, to go out into the countryside?
My relatives lived in a village that was a countryside.
No, but did you ever go out, for example, for a picnic with your mother on a Sunday morning? Did you ever go out on a Sunday morning?
Yes, we went to the so-called Stadtwald. There was a restaurant that was a very, very big park, and there was a restaurant, and we went there on Sundays, and there was concert. That was very nice, but that of course I don't know anymore. When we were small children, that wasn't so often. Later, when I was a teenager, I went there.
What did it mean for you to be a German, to be a German citizen? When you were young, what did it mean?
It was everything.
Tell us a little about that.
Yes.
What was the government like?
I was satisfied with this. I don't, the time before Hitler was quiet and he worked like human beings, we all were.
Did you ever see the Kaiser or hear about the Kaiser?
The Kaiser, of course, he sang patriotically every year when he was on his birthday.
What type of man was he?
What?
What type of man was the Kaiser?
I don't know. I never met him.
But what did you think when you were young?
When I was think, he was superhuman for me, of course, when I was a child. But not later anymore.
Did your father vote?
My father, yes. My father was a patriot.
For what party did he vote?
In the moment, I know the party between
Did he vote for the socialists?
a Democrat. That's what, no, we did not vote socialist. Later we did, of course, but that was in the beginning of Hitler's time. But then my father was hardly alive anymore.
And do you remember World War I?
Remember it, yes.
Can
I
you,
lifted it.
can you tell us what happened? What happened when you heard the war began? How did you feel?
Patriotisch. Deutschland, Deutschland über alles.
And what did you do on behalf of the war effort? Did you do anything to help?
Yes.
What?
I was, when I was a young girl, not as much as a nurse, but to help wherever was something to help. Yes, we were sent.
Did anybody in your family do anything?
My brother was in the war, of course.
What did he do in the
He
war?
was a soldier.
Where did he go?
I don't know anymore. Oh, I think in Russia. He was not in France, he was in Russia.
Did you meet any soldiers during the war?
Yes.
Would you tell us about that?
I was even partly engaged to I was even almost engaged to a doctor but he was killed in the war.
Did you ever have any other boyfriend?
I had boyfriends, as all, but this one man I was very much in love with, but my parents didn't agree.
Why?
He was from Krakow.
Did you agree with your parents about
No,
it?
of course not. How could I agree with him? He was very well-educated man and liked theater and concerts and everything. He was a very fine man.
What happened with him?
He was a soldier. And we corresponded. I think I still might have one letter from him.
You once told a story about a young man who worked in your parents' store who kissed you.
Oh, that's strong. Yes. I wanted to say hello to my mother when I came from school and went through the place where the men's clothing was, and a young man whom I knew that he liked me very much. He jumped behind the suits, the men's suits out and kissed me, but he reached only one ear because I turned my head away. But then later on I had a very, very hard time because I wasn't sure whether I might get a baby from that kiss. And it was hard for when I told her that, it was hard for my mother to find out that it was really only a kiss on the ear. But my father didn't trust him anymore, and he was fired. He wants this kind of story.
What do you remember when America came into the war against Germany?
Yes, I got a terrible shock of that. Then I said to myself, no, it's lost.
How did you feel then?
I felt terribly, that we were already against the war, and I thought that's the end of it.
What did you think when you heard that the Kaiser abdicated?
I was with my rabbi, I was in the temple to help the rabbi a little bit with in the library when I heard that. And we were not happy with Kaiser anymore, not at all.
Did you know the name Walter Rathenau?
Oh yes, of course I knew the name.
What do you know about him?
Oh, what do I know? What did I know about him as a young teenager? I think we thought of him very highly.
Did you know why he was murdered?
Not only, I think, partly because he was a Jew and because he had the ideas we all have now. He had them already. Peace, peace, and not this this war. No, that was wonderful.
In any ways, was life more difficult during World War I?
Generally, in Germany, yes, but for us the same as for everyone else. Of course, we could only buy bread on stamps and sugar. You couldn't get it all, and it was very hard. You have to stand in lines for the few things you can. It was very hard.
And when the war was over, your area of Germany was occupied by soldiers.
Yes, Belgium. And we had Belgians living in our house. They occupied every free room you had. That was a very nice fellow.
Did you resent the fact that this was an occupying army?
No, in the contrary, we liked them.
Where did you meet Fatih? How did you meet Fatih?
Because I was a friend of his sister.
So how did you meet him? Do you remember meeting him?
No. I think my mother-in-law liked me when I came to my friend Hedwig. We came together very often, at least once a week, we girls. And I don't even remember when I saw him for the first time. And I don't think I liked him very much when I saw him for the first time. But that changed.
Yeah, tell us.
That changed.
Tell us about that.
No, how shall I tell you? Fatih must have been in love with me pretty, and so he used every minute to come to our house and to meet me and so.
Did he take you out on dates?
In the first, there was no such thing.
Tell us about that.
We couldn't go alone. In the first time, when he came to our house, I thought he was more, I said, this Karl Mayer comes here, I don't know, he seems to be interested in one of us, or one of the two of us, my cousin Irene, who was brought up with me, or me, but it was not a cousin, it was I. Oh, so it was like this everywhere when two people meet and slowly fall in love.
Tell us about your engagement and your wedding. Did he ask you to marry him?
Yeah, you don't want me to tell you things like that. Of course he asked me to marry him, otherwise I wouldn't have done it.
And how did he propose to you?
He what?
How did he propose to you?
That I don't know anymore, and if I would know, I wouldn't say it.
Did he ask your parents' permission?
Oh yes, as it was at that time, we never fought. My father and he went into a so-called good room where visitors come and talked, and my husband has at that time told my father exactly how his pecuniary life was, and he had made very good business already. But he said first he has to take care of his two sisters. They have to have money before he could think of his own marriage. And that's what he did.
Did you have an engagement party and a nice wedding?
Yes, a wonderful engagement party. All my friends, and the wedding was all for family, big wedding.
Where were you married?
Where? In a hotel.
And were you married alone? Just the two of you?
No, we were my sister-in-law and her husband. We married at the same day, and my sister-in-law was sure that does not bring. That's not lucky to do that.
This was your sister-in-law Hedwig?
Hedwig. And Berthold, you know the name?
As a child, do you remember any anti-Semitism in Germany?
I'm sure it was, but I had nothing to suffer about it. In school, once in school, a new teacher came into the class and said, "Don't be so loud, it is so loud here like in the Jugendschule." And I was the only Jew in that class, and I made a very hard face. And he said, I don't even know who is Jewish here in the school. So I didn't think anything about it. He had to excuse himself because he said that.
Did you have friends who weren't Jewish?
No, I was never, I have friends like girls in school come together, but not real friends like my daughters have later. No.
During the 1920s, there were parties of the right, like the Nazis, who began trying to win votes and win elections. Did you know anything about that?
No, of course, the whole Germany knew about that.
Did it concern you then, in the 1920s?
No, I didn't believe. I didn't take them seriously. We didn't.
Did you vote?
We were so safe. We felt so safe about it that we didn't. That we did not.
Did you vote?
Yes, when women were allowed to vote, yes.
And for what party did you vote?
The Democrats.
Can you describe to us, after you were married, you lived in an apartment for a while and then you built a house. Can you describe your own house for us?
Yeah, the apartment was in our own house too. We had to build the house, to buy the house in order to get an apartment at all when we got married. So my husband bought that house. That was a three-family building.
And then you moved to your own house.
And then we moved to
Can you describe that house?
Oh,
Starting from the bottom.
no.
You had a garage?
I feel, yes, we had a garage.
That was in the very bottom?
Not in the very bottom, next to the garage was my husband's Arbeitsraum.
And then the
where he
next
had his shoes.
and the next floor?
The next floor was my Herrenzimmer, dining room, Wintergarten and kitchen.
And when you entered the house, what did it look like?
It looked very nice. I think you saw it. So, it looked very nice, marble in the entrance. I don't like so much. I was in Krefeld for a visit, but I did not went to the house. I did not go to the house. I didn't want to see it anymore. I loved the house like you can love a relative, because we built it ourselves and it was exactly built the way we wanted it. And we lived on it there for 12 years, not even that.
When you had a formal dining room?
Yes,
Who served the meals when you were sitting in the dining room?
the maid.
How did she know to come out to serve?
That was in the dining room. That was something very modern. Under the carpet was the bell, and I touched it with my toes, and so it was always when visitors were there, they couldn't understand how the maid always knew how to come in.
And then what was on the next floor?
The next floor were our bedroom, the children's bedroom, and our bedroom, and room for the children, playroom for the children, and bathroom, and 3 bathrooms in the house, and 4 toilets.
And what was on the next floor?
The next floor was already the rooms for the maids and one big room for visitors, where my mother later with her maid slept when she moved to us.
Could you describe just a normal day in your life after you had children? Just a normal day, what would happen?
What would have happened? We took it very easy, and I went to town, to the city, down, and did shopping, and the children went to school, to the very good school, but only for a short time.
When they were very little, did you take them out to the park?
Yes.
And did you take them shopping?
Regularly. Yeah, even shopping, and when we had a little bite to eat in the Kaufhof at that time, that was cheese, and that was usually russisch Eier. The children liked that better than cake. But it wasn't too often. But they went to the park every day. But we had a nice backyard too.
Did you take them to the park, the children?
No. I usually had to go with them.
And what would you be doing?
Nothing, not much. I said so. Go and meet my friends, Tante Else, met her in the city. No. It was a very lazy life.
Did you ever travel?
Yes, every year.
To what types of places did you travel?
To see that place. Oh, you mean now with the children to see that place, but with my husband once in February we had 2 weeks where he could not do much business, and we went to Switzerland and Italy and things like that.
Did you ever travel?
You make me homesick when you ask these things.
Did you ever travel with your mother, or did you ever travel with friends?
You know, with my mother I traveled before I was married. Every year too, yes.
And with friends, did you ever travel?
No.
For example, to Paris?
Oh, you remember, you know better than I did, yes. We were 3 of 4 girlfriends, and but that was after I was married. And we played cards 1 a week, and the money got in a pot, and so we went once. The 4 of us went to Paris for that money.
What was your synagogue life, and what was Jewish life like in Germany?
I couldn't think of more beautiful synagogues than our temple was, and the Jewish life was very rich. We have my father was pretty religious, and my mother went every Shabbat to the temple, and I went with her, even after I was married, even so my husband was not so interested, but I went almost every Shabbat to the synagogue.
How did you sit down with your father
Well,
at the temple?
oh, you know that in Germany is nothing like that. We were upstairs, and my father was in the board, was a board member in our congregation.
How did he know where to sit?
How no? We had our seats there. You rented it once a year, and you always got the same again.
Do you remember the way you celebrated any holidays?
Just the way we celebrated here.
You got a gift every night for Hanukkah?
No, we didn't know that. Once you got a gift when we were children. Once a week. And usually, I don't know anymore whether it was Friday night. No, once you got a gift. Not everybody, we lighted candles every night. Of course, my father had it very good, but we didn't own a menorah. He glued the candles on a little wooden, like I did last night. I had 2 candles too, I put it on a little piece of wood.
Did you celebrate Pesach in your home?
Yes, my father gave the Seder, gave a very beautiful Seder.
And did you use the same dishes as you used all year?
Of course not. That wouldn't have been possible in my father's house. No.
So what did you do?
We had the Pesach dishes in our little sitting room when you saw that, but what I talked already about behind the store. On top of the sofa in the wall there was a big wall closet where the Pesach dishes were all year, rest there. And
did you do that in your own home when you got married?
no,
Why not?
my husband wasn't too strict, and I personally wasn't so fond of the kosher house, but I asked my parents, would you not eat with me if although the main thing was, it was so hard to get tableware and everything what you need. We were glad when we had just the most net. That was the time when it was very bad in Germany from the inflation, and I asked my parents whether they wouldn't eat with us, and Father said, of course we eat with you as long as you have not a real treifel household, and I never did that.
You had no pork in your house?
Never. I wouldn't have done that for my father, and he wouldn't have touched it.
Do you remember when Hitler came to power?
When Hitler came to power, yes.
Can you tell us a little about what?
No, what can I tell about it? It was the devil for all of us, and no, darling.
Did you expect that to happen?
No, we never expected it that bad, but we went through everything. No, and I don't want to talk about that. No.
What happened? So what happened when Hitler came to power? What happened? Did anything happen in Krefeld that was different?
Not right away. Not right away, only at the so-called Kristallnacht.
So up until 1938, everything was exactly the same?
No, not exactly. For heaven's sake, we didn't feel at home anymore like that.
What types of things were different?
We were afraid. That's the best thing to say. Afraid for every step we did.
Did your children stay in the public school?
Yes, it's still to that time, yes.
Until when?
And Ruth, my oldest one, stayed there until her time was over, but Ilse first couldn't get into the school because they couldn't have more than one Jewish child in the class. But then later on, the director himself called me to tell me that the, how did you say it, the count was a little different, so she could come, so she went to school.
Were there any other things that were different for you? Could you continue having Christian servants, maids?
No, just that was much later, of course. When
1935.
what?
1935.
No, 1938. 1935? Oh, we still had our maid.
And when did your mother move in with you?
Oh, it's very much to the left. After 1928.
Some
1938.
Some people left Germany right away in 1933, and other people waited and didn't even try to leave at all. Why did some people leave earlier?
We tried, but you had to have a quota, and the German quota was very bad for us. Of course, we right away took our number and things like that.
In what year did you take the number to leave?
I don't know what year, but that, I think 37 or 36, I don't know. But the number was so high that but everybody said you don't have to fear, that goes over in a few months.
Did you still believe that then?
Not quite, but we, you know, when you have a good life and you love where you live, it's not so easy to throw everything overboard.
Will you describe something? I know it's a bit hard for you, but it's very important for us to hear this. Could you describe for us what happened on Kristallnacht? Why, how did it happen, and what happened to you personally, and what happened in Krefeld and in Germany?
We didn't stay. A friend of ours was taken to concentration camp again, and we didn't want the woman, the wife, to be alone. So my husband and I went over there, and our chauffeur took both of the children took both of the children, got them, and then during the night we heard the clearing of the windows, and so, and the next morning my husband went to the house and came back crying, we can't go home anymore. The whole house is destroyed.
And what happened in your town? What happened to the synagogue?
Oh, the synagogue was burned, you know that.
And did anything else? Was anyone arrested?
Yes. My husband was not home because we were at my friends, but almost all the men were taken to concentration camp.
What was it like for you when you finally were able to leave? First Ruth left, your daughter left.
Yes.
What was that like for you?
It wasn't too bad because my husband was already in jail. I was glad that I got her out.
At that point you realized that you'd have to leave too?
Yes, of course.
And then what happened? How did you get out?
How?
Why were you able to leave?
Yes, we had our furniture, but there were people in there. I had to put all my silver into one big box, big, no, it's not a box, a kist. And that they took out. It was very easy to get it.
And then the rest you shipped out?
Yes.
And when did you
to
leave?
America.
When did you leave?
When did we leave in 1938?
39.
39. To England. We finally got a passport or what to go to England.
What was it
But
like?
I wanted to go to America.
What was it like for you to leave Germany?
Oh, but it was hard to leave my mother and my parents-in-law. It wasn't hard for us to get out of Germany.
What were your first impressions of America?
Light.
Where did you land? Where did you come into America?
I think in New York.
Do you remember seeing the Statue of Liberty?
Yes, no, that was emotionally, when you saw, you feel like someone who was very sick and got better when you saw the Statue of America.
What made you, did you have any other feelings about coming to America?
What other feeling?
I don't know.
Hope and being glad to be out, of course. We missed our family, but at that time America was not in war, was not at war, and some being afraid too how it would work
Did you,
out.
why did you go to Chicago?
Why? Because my friend lived there, the one to whom we had sent our furniture and everything. It was no doubt for us, we could only think of Chicago.
Were you able to leave Germany with all your money?
Or 10 mark, that was a little bit more than $3. That was for the money for the whole family.
So what did you have to do when you got to Chicago?
Again to my friend who lived there already for some time.
And what did you do to earn money?
Oh, we had a little money. We had a little money, of course. We had to have it in England too. We lived in England for 9 months.
And then how did you support yourself? You and Fatih, when you were in Chicago?
Oh, Fatih tried, sold full of horses. And I did everything what came up. Working in a household, cleaning and things, whatever came up, I worked.
What was the hardest thing for you in America?
The hardest thing was the kind of work my husband was doing. I felt terrible about it. But he supported us. That's the main thing. We didn't have to take any the Jewish, we went there for advice, but that was all.
Did you belong to a temple in Chicago?
In Chicago, Temple Ezra, yes, we did.
Can you tell us something about that synagogue?
That was one room on top of the store first.
Who belonged to it?
Who? We all, my husband and I.
What type of Jews were there?
Only German Jews. And the German wasn't German too. And the main thing for us all was to learn English.
When did you begin to realize that you would never be able to return to Germany?
I didn't begin that. That was there.
You knew you would never go back once you left?
Of course not. I was back there. Wanted to stay 3 days in Krefeld to look at the cemetery and so on. And I stayed there for one night and then I couldn't stand it anymore.
When did you realize, at what point did you realize that your family, you would not see your family anymore?
Because then came the war. You didn't realize that worked by itself. There was war and you couldn't hear from them anymore. My mother-in-law died first. She took her own life. She was a wonderful woman. She did right.
And what were the good things for you in America? What are the memories that are very wonderful for you here?
Being here and the children getting married, happily married, and and I got 6 grandchildren, and I have 8 great-grandchildren now. So I was the last of my family, and I built up my family very nicely. And tomorrow they come to me and we are 23 people, only the closest family.
And when you compare the way you were with your own children, the way you spent time with your own children, and the way you spent time with your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, where did you spend more time?
Oh, no, of course, no doubt. And that's what keeps me a little bit up.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
To say? No, I don't want. It's wonderful. I love my grandchildren, all of them, all 6 of them.
This is now, you're almost 84 and a half years old. This is
Yes.
the third night of Hanukkah, 1981. Anything special you would like for this coming year?
I don't want to say what I want to say, what I feel. I said I wish it would be the last Hanukkah, but you don't want to hear that.
So what things would be nice for this coming year for you?
That everything stays healthy and well as it is, and together.